Hello, everybody. Look who I have here with me. We are coming to you this Sunday for a very special Mother's Day edition of Molly's Mind. So this is Molly's second go-round as a mother. Her first Mother's Day, our daughter was about 3 months old. And I wanted to hear your thoughts around Mother's Day a little bit. We just had a fun day of breakfast and going out, doing a whole bunch of things. We got phone calls from family members, and we've, reached out to our family members saying Happy Mother's Day. A lot of it is very glorified and glamorous, and we see all the good side of Mother's Day. We see positive posts from people saying they love their mothers. I've got the best mothers. But something that you're very conscious of, because you've gone through some things in motherhood, are people that are trying to become mothers, or people that have lost their mothers. It's not all good with mothers. People have bad relationships with their mothers. So you share on your Instagram, I think you've done it last year, you've done it this year, something reaching out to everybody, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Why do you feel it's important to not only celebrate our mothers, but also let other people know who are going through some situations with their mothers, that you feel for them also?
Yeah, well, I obviously think I have the best mom.
Mm-hmm. We all do.
But I don't know, I think over the last couple of years, what we've been through, for one, to even get pregnant with Nix, the journey to get pregnant with her, the loss that we had that year, and that was really before we got pregnant with Nix. We had just gone through our first pregnancy loss, and I remember that Mother's Day before I was pregnant with her, it being really hard for me, because I obviously wanted to be a mother, and I was having trouble getting pregnant, just suffering a loss, and there's this day that's like all about moms, but then it's like, I want to be a mom, but I can't get pregnant, or whatever the case may be. But then I also have someone that I'm close with who I was like, oh, what are you doing for Mother's Day? And she's like, honestly, I hate this day because it just reminds me of losing my mom. And I was, I think that's really hard. And so ever since then, I've just been really, I am more aware of it. I think just in general around comments, around, people will ask me when I'm going to have another baby, or they'll ask people who are married and aren't pregnant yet when they're going to have a baby, and it's just, or someone will say something, oh, I'm going to plan my next pregnancy around this, and it's just, I know people mean well, but those can be really hurtful comments, and I know Mother's Day is like that too for some people. So for me, what I shared, what Corin's referring to, something on my Instagram, just kind of a shout out for every mom in whatever position they're in, whether they don't want kids, or whether they lost a child, or whether they're a mom to a kid now,
or lost their parent, lost their mother,
or someone lost their mother, and it was just said, it was like bunches of flowers thinking of you, like regardless of the different situation that you're in. So, and last year I shared, it was a similar thing like that, but I think for me, I'm just more sensitive to these things because of my own personal experiences over the last couple of years that I've gone through personally, and you've been a part of all of that. So
yeah, I think that's important for people to at least have that in the back of their mind when they're posting all these, I love it. I mean, I'm not hating on anybody, but I respect somebody a little bit more, instead of just saying like you have the best mother and like you do everything this and that, and just isolating it to your mother, like sort of taking a step back and just sort of realizing that like other people have mothers also that are just as good as your mother. Like every mother's making pancakes. Every mother is, watching over your kid if you have one or something like that. So like just knowing that there's other people out there with all these different situations is something that is, admirable to see in people, instead of just, it's all about me. And I mean, that's what social media does. We spoke about that on the social media episode.
Yeah, I think in general that's a challenge with social media, but I think it's also, it's nice to be able to share something that, from my perspective, and I love reading other posts like that when I see that it's not just so, like, that people look at things from different perspective instead of just me. And not saying that I do a great job of this either.
Yeah, me
you know,
neither.
I'm just saying in general, those are the things that I like to see, and I'm like, that's a thoughtful post. So I love reading things like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's good to see. It's good to see that. I mean, yeah.
Well, thanks.
One thing you always get mad at me about is like when I was living at home, my mom would do everything for me. She just made it very, I mean, like, I'm Jewish, and like a lot of people say like a Jewish mother, similar to like an Italian mother or something, like probably any religion or ethnicity. Mothers, I think Italian mothers, Jewish mothers, like, are very like mothering of their kids. They want to do everything for them.
In your situation, you're also the baby of the family.
Yeah.
Because I look at your siblings and I don't, and you know, I know your mom watches these videos, so.
She's behind, so you've got a couple weeks.
I know your mom, like, would do anything for all of her kids. Like, she is a fantastic mother. She's a fantastic grandmother. She's a fantastic wife and person, just in general. She's amazing. But I think you being the baby, and I also see this with my mother, with my little brother who's a baby, it's like they go, like, above and beyond for the baby. You know? Like, you were the last one. You're the last chance to, like, mother and, like, you know, like, it's just very different the way...
It's weird how that
opinion,
happens, though, because...
it's very different.
It's weird how that happens, because you'll usually hear a mother that has multiple children, they'll say, you know, the first one, they're very protective, and, like, you're doing everything, and then, like, your last one, it's sort of, they, like, let them roam wild. So, like, when they get older, it's sort of like they want to hold on to that last child even more.
Yeah.
But when they're younger...
No, but there's a saying that it's like, the grandmother, the first grandchild is always the favorite, and the parent, the last kid, the youngest kid is always the favorite.
Why is that?
No, it's just, that's what they say, like the first grandkid.
Who says it? You would tell me to check my sources on that.
I don't have a source on that. I've just been told that. My mom told me that.
Okay.
And I think she was saying
Put
my
the blame
grandmother.
on your mom.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard that saying around. And I think in your family, not to favorite, but the baby just gets babied. I mean, I can think of a lot of different situations where that's the case, and it's definitely true with you.
So do you think it could sort of like, has it in my case, and I'll put myself on as an example, and my mom doesn't care. I mean, I still have a great relationship with my mom. But do you think it hurts a kid in a sense when a mother is a little bit over... Like, I don't think my mom was anything, like, over the top, but, like, when I would go home, I put it on her. I'm like, hey, Mom, like, I want some pancakes. Or, Mom, like, can I use the car?
My dress is not cooperating. I think in your situation, I think it took you a lot longer to grow up. I think it took you a really long time to get to where you are now, to be able to even travel the way you do and do things on your own, which might sound kind of silly, but if your whole life, I'm pretty sure when I first moved in with you, you didn't know how to make scrambled eggs, and that is not even...
I think I know how to make scrambled eggs.
No, you literally said that to me. I will never forget it. You told me you didn't know how to make scrambled eggs.
I might have just said that to get you to make some scrambled eggs.
And that's the thing. Is I was just going to say, I don't know if it was something you said to try and get me to do it for you, or you really didn't know. But there's so many things you didn't know how to do. So many things on so many different levels. And then now it's to the point where you'll say, you're better at it. You know how to do it, but you say I'm better at it, and I don't play that game. I'm like, no. But then there's other things where I just do it because I want it done right, and I don't want to mess around. But there's also differences because of where you grew up versus where I grew up. So an example, and I don't necessarily know if where or just how you grew up differently, but for example, you never mowed a lawn in your life until you bought a house.
I lived in an apartment my whole life.
Until you moved to New Row, and then you guys had people do your lawn. So you never mowed a lawn. You never painted anything until we painted our banisters.
No, I painted something, I feel like, once. I think I helped Brian maybe paint something.
Yeah, but not really. And so, I mean, those are smaller things, but you are not the guy who you're going to call to fix something for you. You're not going to have you fix a light bulb. You're not going to have you change a fixture, a doorknob, a faucet, anything. You're not going to do any of those things.
All right, cut. This is turning into a roast session.
No, it's not. I'm just saying... those are things that my mom taught me growing up, and so I was so maybe there wasn't growing up in my house. We just did ourselves. We hired out if it was like plumbing or something, but in your house you had maybe just people come do it, so you never had to do those things. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it hurt you. Back to your original question about your mom babying you, but I think it took you longer to grow up.
So what is it with our like generation or different generations that look at mothers how I look at them? Like, you know, a mother will always have the answer to a question, you know, they know how to do everything, like parenting wise. Yeah. And I don't know where I've used this example before, maybe it was on Kyle and Corin, but when I travel with our daughter alone, it's almost like people are very like accommodating to help me with anything I need. You know, they'll look at me and be like, oh my God, how are you doing this all by yourself, mm-hmm. type of deal. And like, you've got all these bags and you're feeding her and this and that. And people almost look at it like, I can't believe you're doing this. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you travel along with her and you've got same amount of bags as I do, same amount of feeding and changing diaper mm-hmm. responsibilities that there are, people don't even bat an eye, I'm sure. Yeah. It's almost just like, oh, you know, you could go ahead of me, but yeah, like, yep, having a kid. Mm-hmm. Why have we always looked at it as, you know, you can just, like, you're okay doing that, but I need help doing it, you know? Is that just like how we've grown up where women, you know, are sort of just supposed to take care of the kids and the mm-hmm. father works and all this stuff?
Yeah, I don't know. And I know you and my dad talked a little bit about this on your chat.
Oh, okay. Is that what it was?
Well, about the roles and, you know, he learned to cook from his dad and you know, in his house, both my grandma and grandpa work, but I don't really know. I do think if I traveled, Nix and I came to Austin, Texas yesterday by ourselves to come see Corin. And I did actually have a couple of people ask me if I need help because I had, you know, when you travel with a kid, you have a lot of bags and all of that stuff. But if I were to see a man with a kid, like if I were to see you with Nix, all those bags, I would be like, oh my gosh, do you need help? Because it's just something you don't see it as often. And I think now...
But do you think women have more of like a nurturing... Like...
No, but hold on. I think now, in this day and age, I do think fathers are taking on more of a parenting role. That it's not these gender roles where the guy goes to work and the mom is necessarily a stay-at-home mom. There's plenty of stay-at-home moms, which is wonderful if that works for your life and that all of that stuff. But there's more where you might even see a stay-at-home dad. And the mom goes to work, and you might see they both go to work and they split the roles and responsibilities. Mm-hmm. So I think it's not necessarily these gender roles that maybe a couple of decades ago or when our parents were growing up that you would see where the mom stays home and is the one who's doing all the parenting duties, housewife stuff, and the dad goes to work, but now it's kind of more shared responsibility. But with that being said, I still think there is, I don't know if it's instinct of being a mom mm-hmm. or the fact that the mom actually, in not all circumstances, because there's adoption and other fostering, other ways to have children, but in most cases, in cases, a baby is always carried by a woman. Mm-hmm. It's not ever carried by a man. So that mom who's carrying the child, it's almost like you already are mothering before the dad even meets the baby. Yeah. So I don't know if it's something that's innate, something that, you know, we talk about the nature versus nurture. Yeah. I don't really know, but I think even in our case, a lot of things, at least from my perspective, come more naturally to me than they do to you.
Well, but speaking from a man's perspective,
I think a lot of things do come naturally to you, though.
They do, but it's just a matter of, it's almost like I feel the woman or mother, they have the final say, and it's almost just like whatever you feel or think will override what I think because you have more skin in the game. You've held on to the baby like you said before they were born, and so like I feel like you almost have this like subconscious. My say is going to go regardless of what you say. Mm-hmm. And this happens, I feel like. I'll be like, let's do this or that, and you're just like, no, we'll do this. And
well, let me just give an example, and we'll let people vote in the comments if they'd like.
Okay.
So yesterday, we went to Salt Lake Barbecue, and after, Nix and Corin were in the parking lot, and he was running around with her.
Let me paint the picture. I need to paint the picture.
He was running around with her in the parking lot. What picture is there to paint?
So the parking lot was humongous. Okay, so right behind so there's a parking lot where the restaurant was, and there was a side parking lot what we parked in, which were a lot less cars. Behind
but there were still cars in that.
There were still cars there.
Yeah.
I was in a spot, in between a spot that was empty with another spot next to it open, and I was just like playfully running with my daughter in the spot. Now, this is what our vote is going to be. Have you ever played in a parking lot with your siblings growing up? I did.
That's not the vote.
Okay,
the vote is, do you let your kid play in a parking lot?
That shouldn't be.
That's the vote. I don't care what you did growing up. I'm saying, do you let your kid play in a parking lot?
That's an unfair question because that paints it as she's running around free.
Let me give my reason why. Because although that specific parking lot maybe didn't have a lot of cars, which I felt like there was enough cars, there was people walking to cars, which means cars could be pulling in and out, and maybe they don't see Nick. She's not even like 2 feet tall. So even if your answer is it wasn't that busy, now what's to stop her when we go to a Target that's really busy from thinking that it's a playground and she can run around and hide behind cars and then they get hit by a car? Like, that's not what you want to teach your kid. That's why I think I have the final say, because Corin doesn't logically think things through about the safety involved. It's like, oh, hey, let's teach a kid to play in the oven, and then accidentally when the oven's on, it's going to be hot and she's going to burn herself.
All right, so I saw something on ESPN the other day. There was a guy, Scott Van Pelt. He did a great segment called, he always does this thing called My Final Thought or something like that, One Final Thought. And he did a recent one about his first child was a girl, and his first child was a girl, and he was very nervous about it. But the end of the moral of the story was he appreciated having a daughter first, because he said you'll never feel another love like having like a daughter. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I can relate to a lot. I don't know the feeling of having a son. He actually has a daughter and 2 sons now, I think. So it might be easier for him to say that now, because a lot of parents will say, oh, I need a boy and all this stuff. But to his point, I definitely feel like I just opened up to a whole new world. I always thought I was a good human being and like acted with kindness and all this stuff, but now I even try to do it even more so because of my daughter. I want her to see what like a good human being I am and what good human being she should be. He also added something in there that he didn't know. He Googled how to parent a daughter, or like, so my question to you is just like, how do you, and on Mother's Day, since this is a Mother's Day theme, Molly's mind, how do you know how to be a mother? Like why do you think some things are the right things to do, some things aren't the right things to do? Do you look to your mother for advice, or how do you parent, and what's your mothering tips?
First and foremost, I go by my instincts. Mm-hmm. Whatever decision I make, and I know whatever decision you make, I know whatever decision my mom makes with her, I know whatever decision your parents make with her, it's all with the best interest. No one that's in our daughter's life ever makes a decision and with their mind thinking, I'm going to do something that's going to hurt her. Even if you playing with her in the parking lot, it's never crossing your mind that you're making a decision that's going to harm her. Everybody makes a decision for the best interest of her. And so for me, I have a lot of, my mom watches her a lot, and we're your parents. And I always know that whoever we're leaving her with, they have her best intentions. And I know that of me, and I know that of you as well. So first and foremost, I make decisions based on my instincts, because I know my intentions are always good. And second, I do a lot of reading. I read into all different stages. Recently she's gotten into this, like, she'll, like, kind of grab and scratch, or if she wants something, she's, like, learning to, like, go like this, like, no, and things like that. Like, she's a toddler. so I read, like, how do I handle these things as a parent and what's the best way, because we don't want to teach her no, you want, like, all these things that we're doing with her. So I read a lot, and I think a mixture of my instincts, reading, and then I have a lot of friends who are moms. I think my mom raised 6 kids. My mom has also watched a lot of kids in her life. She's worked in a school. She was a one-on-one aide. Like,
For your special needs too, which is like even more attention you need.
So my mom is just like fantastic with kids. So, you know, she's a huge help in that. I think just being around people who I think are really great people is also helpful. And I have a group of friends who all have kids under the age of 3, and we have a group chat called New Baby Support Group because there's a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and then Nix, and then another friend has a daughter younger than Nix, and they're all girls. So whenever like Nix gets a weird rash or she was allergic to peanuts and all of her reactions, I send pictures to my friends like, what are your thoughts, and they give me advice. And so it's really helpful to have that kind of support group as well. So very long answer to your question, but I think instincts, reading, asking family, friends, and support from that way. And then just at the end of the day, just reminding yourself that, you know, my goal as a mom is to have a kid who is a kind person, who treats everybody, you know, with respect, and is just a genuinely nice person. And I think that's really important. And I
think you hear that a lot, like, you know,
do with her.
Just the overall blanket statement of like, be a good person, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So like anything that makes someone be a good person, whether it's your daughter, yourself, me, have that as like the main goal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you being a good person by doing this, or are you just being like a dick or something?
Yeah.
This is something that is heavy within my thoughts, and I spoke to Kyle about it, and I wanted to hear it from the horse's mouth.
I always get nervous when you say things like I don't know what's coming.
You'll know this one.
Oh, okay. So it's not a surprise. Okay.
Circling back to Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Mother's Day cards.
Mm.
Do we need them? Because something that you had mentioned earlier today, because we had sent my mom a card, we sent my brother's wife a card, and some of our family members cards. They're expensive. And, you know, there's a lot of things you have to buy for children on Mother's Day. Grandparents buy a lot of gifts. Like, stuff's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Cards, and I spoke to Kyle about this, and I have the theory of, like, what do you do with a card after you open it and look at it?
About it.
I know. And I want you to explain your answer a little bit more, because a tweet is only so many characters. But why are cards so important to you? I know I always give you a Mother's Day card, I'll write something thoughtful in it, but like every year I gotta think of something thoughtful every year to write in there.
Yeah. So I don't know why it started. I try in general, let me just like give a little bit of insight to me as a person. I try not to like be a hoarder and keep things, because in my family, in my life, a lot of people that I know like to hold on to things. And for me, I don't need to hold on to every single thing that I come in contact with in my life. But I have a thing about cards, and I've always been this way. As the earliest I can remember saving cards is I specifically remember, and I still have cards, when I went to sleepaway camp. I was 8 years old, and my mom would send me a care package like a couple of times a week, because I went there for like 2 weeks or something. And so you get the cards, and I saved them, and I have those cards still, and I love looking back at them.
Yeah.
I love reading what she wrote to me at that moment in time. Like, I just,
like she was sitting down,
you know,
writing
when like in this world, like, people aren't here forever. So whoever it is who's written me a card, I just am so happy. Like, my grandmother, I have cards from her that I'm gonna have those cards, and those it's kind of like pictures, but it's more thoughtful in a way of like what they were writing. And even if it's like your generic birthday card, still just like having those words on the paper, for me it's very meaningful, and I actually like go back and read them. And so I have this like giant card box, and I save them. And I know Corin was talking with Kyle on your chat when you guys were talking about cards, and you're like, I don't know, I throw them out. But actually, I save Corin's cards too. So he also has, I don't have all of Corin's cards, but like whatever ones he leaves and I see him after like a day or two, I grab them and I put them in a box. And I'm going to save all of Nyx's cards too. So far I have all of the cards from when she was born. I have all of my baby shower cards. I have all of our wedding cards. And I just save them and I'm like,
it is cool because
like,
you'll show me some cards that I've written to you from like college, and it'll say things like inside like, jokes from college, and I'm like, I didn't write that. Like what?
Yes.
What was I even talking about? And I'm like, and some of it is creative. Like you showed the outside pack. Like I try to get crafty on the outside of the letters, and one was like an iPhone message that said,
yes.
I was like, damn, that was good.
Inside that card was an apology. That was like an apology card because I was like mad at you for something and you bought me a card. But also like I sent you a picture of a card that I wrote you when we first moved to Illinois. Corin had never lived away from family and like I had before. So he was having
besides
kind
like
of
sleepaway camp.
Yeah, he was but that wasn't living away from family. Like we moved like to the middle of the country.
Yeah.
And so he was having a really hard time just adjusting, like not knowing the people where we lived. And I wrote him a card, and the card said like never stop believing or something like that. And I wrote on the envelope like a bunch of different quotes, and then I just wrote a really thoughtful message inside. And I just, even me looking back at that card, I'm just like, it's just really cool to look back at where we were at that moment. And pictures do it in a different way, but you don't know what you were thinking when you look at a picture.
Yeah.
So like looking back at the words, but I'm also a person who loves scrapbooking. I love pictures. I print out tons and tons of pictures and put them in scrapbooks. Like I'm just like a crafty, I like to craft type of person, so I don't know. But I also was thinking, when Kyle was talking about what he does in cards, I think that's really cool too. Like if his niece and nephew save those cards, and you think back, obviously they're younger than Kyle, so they're going to live longer than Kyle. They look back and they're like, oh, Uncle Kyle was so goofy in what he does. And I just think...
Well, people have memories.
I'm a card person. I don't need flowers, but I always want a card.
And even if it's not a card, I think even when someone passes, like a grandfather or grandmother or something like that, I know my grandfather, my mother's father, I knew a little bit, but I was really young. But I knew my grandmother's second husband, my grandpa Sid, but he would always wear, I think it was like a tie clip, and so like when he passed, my grandma gave me a bunch of his tie clips. Like it's something cool, even if it's just a little something that somebody would wear.
But that's like that's cool to have, yes. But imagine if you had like something that he wrote.
Yeah.
That you're like, wow, these are actually his words that came like from him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's why we hold on to like these old like authors and like old presidents. Like when stuff comes up from memorabilia, an article of clothing is cool or something like that. Have like Abraham Lincoln or something like that. But if you have like a handwritten letter from Abraham Lincoln where like you see, like you said, what he was thinking, like during like Gettysburg or something like that, while he was sitting in like I'm sitting in a hotel room when I'm writing you this letter. So like it's something like it's unique to like what I was doing at the time, which is, to your point, really cool, and something that I'm starting to realize now as my Corin's World channel grows a little bit more. Like doing these conversations with people is almost like something that I can look back on. Like when I sit down with my father or your father and we have a chat for like an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's something that, God forbid, or like when the day comes, everybody passes away, like if I'll have that memory. So like if you're out there, like I highly recommend, I've got a friend of mine who started a podcast that is sitting down with his friends and family to come. It's so cool to just sit down with people and hear their thoughts.
Even if no one ever like watches it, it doesn't matter. It's just it's just about you and that you're enjoying it and that you're making these types of memories with people and documenting it. And I was listening to your dad's conversation and I heard a lot of the things my dad said because obviously he's my dad, but your dad, I've never heard some of the things that he shared, and I thought that was really cool. But another thing, not in the video form, but something when I was pregnant with Nix, I had a shower that your mom helped put on, and then a shower that my mom put on in the other part of New York. And as a gift for that, I gave them both a book that they are supposed to like fill out a lot of like their memories, like their childhood growing up, things that were important to them, their family tree, so that they could both give that to Nix. Because wouldn't that be so cool if you had that from your grandmother?
Yeah.
On both sides, like a book that says like, these are people you were related to. This is what my childhood was like.
So is that something they fill out over time?
Yeah, that I gave them to them and asked them to. It was like a gift to them to give to Nix, like a like.
It's almost
you're gonna give this to her, so then she's gonna remember you, and she's gonna have all of this documented and just know so much more about her grandmothers, which I thought was really cool to be able to have something like that. But it goes kind of, it's like similar to the card thing for me, like writing something versus just kind of like having a picture of something.
Well, it's almost like it's an art that went away, because I mean, you look all the way in the past. I mean, like obviously the most famous diary is Anne Frank's diary, but like back in the day, everyone used to write in a diary. Like I don't think guys maybe did it as much as girls growing up.
No, I think back in the day probably.
You think guys wrote in a diary also?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that's
know.
true. I'm not backing it with any facts, but I feel like growing up, I knew more like girls that would keep a diary.
Yeah,
except for the Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Okay,
that's a great movie.
Okay,
go watch that.
But Corin, if you think back to like
back
like World War something, and they're
yeah.
like over fighting a war, like they might be like documenting things. I don't know. I'm not a history buff, so I don't really know.
Yeah.
I'm getting really uncomfortable.
But people wrote in their diaries like during war times because they kept track of what was that. Like they documented. They didn't have an iPhone recorder that they could say day one, this is Take Going Home Forever. They would write it, and like those grandkids of those people that must have gotten that book or something is like they love that stuff. So I feel like I'm almost want to encourage our daughter to write in a diary. Like did you write in a diary growing up?
I mean, here and there growing up, I was not into writing in a diary.
But like you see like girls who look back in a diary, or guys, and it's like a high school diary of like.
But you know what I did, and I have this, is Alex and I, we used to, you know how you used to pass notes in high school and you like fold them all cool, you know what I'm talking about? Okay. So instead of keep passing the same notes, we would get notebooks, and it would be like, we put you've seen this, it's a green notebook with a picture of, it's a picture of Alex and I on the front. And then we would pass the notebook back and forth. So between, like in one class, I'd write her a note, and then I'd give it to her the next class, and then she'd write back. So instead of passing like one single sheet of paper back and forth,
you just pass
like
the whole
we
notebook?
would have a notebook. And so like, I wish I had it.
How long are the things were you writing?
Like sometimes like a whole notebook page.
Oh wow.
And then like I would give it back to her, and then she would write like her response, and then like, one would take it home on the weekend, and then we'd bring it back on Monday, and we'd like do the whole thing. So like if someone were to find that notebook, it would be like, but and Stephanie, who was on your chat, could respond to this in high school. I had a notebook. It was with my friend Corin, and Stephanie stole it out of my locker with this girl Christiane. They stole it out of my locker and read it out loud in the lunchroom to everybody.
Damn, that's dirty.
Yes, and like what you write in the notebook. I mean, that was in I think 7th or 8th grade. So you're writing about like the boy you like, who you have a crush on, whatever. But at the time, and I remember, I felt like it was like my life was over. We like my friend and I, who passed the notebook back and forth, had to go to the principal's office, and we went home from school early that day because everyone was like talking about it, and it was like this whole big deal. And
so as a mother, do you get nervous that that'll happen to your daughter? And like, how would you tell her to handle that situation?
I mean, this was before cell phones, so it's just different.
It's that in a different way. Someone reads your text message.
Yeah, it's different now, but I mean, you never want, like, I remember just being so hurt by that,
humiliated or something,
and being humiliated. And I love Stephanie. Like, this was like high school, junior high drama stuff, like stupid. But, as a parent, you never want your kid to go through these things, but at the same time, I'm not saying I want her to go through those types of experiences, but you learn from that, and you can't shelter your kids from everything. And you know, we both think the same way in terms of if Nix falls down, we're not gonna pick her up and be like, oh my gosh, are you okay? You know, we let her kind of like, and we try to like redirect if she's really hurt, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, but we're both in the sense, I think we are, at least from what I've witnessed you from parenting.
I think you're a little bit more cautious than I am.
Really?
No, I don't know. She like fell today. No, you were fine. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That was just more for video effect.
Why is Casey calling?
I don't know. I don't know.
Should I answer it?
No, we can call
Okay.
back. But what?
So I think people have to go through hard times. I mean, that's what makes people who they are today, is when they go through things. So she's gonna go through whatever. I just hope she's not on the side. I hope we are good parents and make sure she's not on the side, the bully side. Like, I hope I never have to have a conversation with her about bullying someone or being on that side of it.
Yeah.
Not that I want her to be the recipient either, but I want her to be a nice person.
And we'll end it here because I want to call Casey back just in case something's happening. But
Let me see.
Is it just a happy Mother's Day?
Don't know. It's weird. I don't think he's ever called me ever.
Oh, let me just say, okay.
Pause.
Yeah.
Our brother-in-law called Corin and then called me, and he never calls me, so we just want to make sure everything's okay.
But I will ask this question because I took some heat today. You get pretty grumpy when you're hungry, and it was Mother's Day, so mothers, you should have the perfect day and everything should go well. But fathers do need some slack. What would you consider a perfect Mother's Day? What should fathers be doing to...
I think I'm a pretty low, like...
Low maintenance?
I think I am pretty low maintenance in general. I'm not somebody who's like needs 79 hours to get ready. I'm pretty like low maintenance person. But I think for me, just, this is what I said to you. I said there's 2 days a year, a birthday and Mother's Day, where I just don't want to have to like think about it. Like, he was telling me to like look up restaurants. In my opinion, he probably should have just made a reservation before I even got here and had that all situated. That would have been really nice. But even if not, it's fine. He didn't make a reservation somewhere. But what did he say?
They wanted to wish you a happy Mother's Day. So that goes out to everybody out there. Wish somebody a happy Mother's Day.
Yeah. So he didn't need to make a reservation somewhere, but I would have just, and you guys will see this in our Austin travel vlog because I got a little bit annoyed. But I don't want to have, he's like, look up restaurants. I don't want to have to look up restaurants. I want to just like, you just take me somewhere, you know? Like, I'll always just find something on the menu. Like, just pick a place and take me there. So that annoyed me. But then I just told him I wanted to go downtown and walk, and he's like, oh, let's go here and take pictures and let's do that. And I'm like, it's not your day. I don't want to do any of that. I just want to like go on a nice walk and relax and hang out with my family. But he has to make it about him.
So what's a perfect Mother's Day?
I just said, you...
Not me, like just in general.
Is when,
so
you, because you're my husband.
Like we just said, we want to document.
Yeah,
I need to go back and watch this, so next Mother's Day I can do exactly what you say.
I want you to find a place for us to eat and have it like ready to go. Okay? And then we just go there. So are
flowers necessary or just a card for you?
No, when did I ever...
No, not you. But
no, but everybody's different. Some people like flowers. Like for me, like, and you know, even like for Valentine's Day, like I don't need flowers, but I always like chocolate-covered strawberries. And it's even better when you just get strawberries and chocolate and we make them together. Mm-hmm. That's, I don't need... I don't need flowers. I need a card. And I like chocolate covered strawberries, but I don't need them. And I mean, I don't think that's really high maintenance person. I think I'm pretty like relaxed. I'm not like a huge gift person either. Like usually if I want something, I just buy it myself. And like you're pretty much the same way. Mm-hmm. And I would rather an experience. Like I would rather like But for my birthday this year, we're talking about what we're going to do for a trip. Like, I'd rather go on a trip than get a gift. Because I don't really care about materialistic things really very much, so.
Yeah. Well, that's our Mother's Day special. Anything else you want to add or anything you want to say to mothers out there or
something? Shout out to all the moms and the dads and,
mothers trying to be mothers and, like, people who have lost their mothers. Like, everyone should feel, appreciated by their mothers, appreciate your mothers.
Yeah, but I mean, also some people have really crappy moms, too. Yeah. And I think, that could be hard for somebody who has a really crappy mother too, who, but maybe that makes them a stronger person.
Yeah, if you can be strong enough to reach out to your mom and even if they've been a terrible mother, to say Happy Mother's Day, like, I'm sure maybe they had a bad mom or father, like, there's a reason behind everything. Yeah. You don't think there's a reason behind everybody? Like, you think people are just like... I can think
right off the top of my head someone I know who's a really crappy mom and they had a wonderful mom.
But they had a wonderful mom, or that's like what you saw on the surface?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know who you're thinking of, but I mean, you don't know, unless you were living with them, the ins and outs. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Whatever the reason maybe is, if you're strong enough to reach out to someone and say Happy Mother's Day, then I give you a lot of kudos. What? They always say that about people that, like, get out of jail that have been wrongfully accused.
Yeah.
Right when they get out of jail, they say, like, do you want to get back at the police? Are you pissed? And they're just like, no, like, I'm fine with the decision that,
but
like,
that's not where I wasn't going. I was just saying, like there's a lot of different scenarios on why Mother's Day might be hard for somebody. Yes. And I was just saying another scenario could be because they have a crappy mom.
Yeah. I also... And I shouldn't be sharing this, but last night Molly said, can you give me a back massage? So I texted her a screenshot of a Google search of all the back massage places in the area. I thought I was doing her a favor. They could probably give a better back massage than I could.
Yeah, it was like 9 at night. I wasn't going to drive and get a massage. I just wanted a shoulder massage.
So give your wives, your moms, your grandmothers back massages. Be nice to your mothers. Happy Mother's Day.
Let me ask you, because Father's Day is right around the corner, and I'm gonna...
When is Father's Day?
It's like June, like the second Sunday in June or something like that. So what's the perfect Father's Day? You weren't home last Father's Day.
I'm the same as you. Like, I don't, like, just say Happy Father's Day to me or something like that. Like, or you don't even have to do that. Like, I'm just happy to be a father. Like, I don't, like, you even saying, like, I just want to relax, like, but, like, it's just a regular day for me. Like, anything that happens above and beyond, if people want to call me and say Happy Father's Day, like, that's awesome. But, like, I'm just my daughter's father. Like, I don't need, like, it'd be nice to go to breakfast with my family and stuff like that, but...
This is what, in my mind, what you think, like, a perfect Father's Day would be. Like, we get up, we go to breakfast somewhere, we come home, you relax and watch sports all day and, like, let you just chill and relax. And,
but
like,
I wouldn't hold over your head, and, like, you'd probably say yes you would, but, like, if the breakfast spot that you chose was busy, I wouldn't pout and be like, it's Father's Day, just decide something. Like, I wouldn't care that it was Father's Day. Like, the fact that you even said, like, it's Mother's Day, I just want to relax, like, you should want to relax every day. Like,
yeah, I do want to relax every day, but I don't get to relax every day.
Exactly.
Who the hell doesn't want to relax every day?
So why do you get to relax on Mother's Day?
You're so annoying.
No, I get it. I get it.
Like, it's one day that I just am saying, like, I just want to, like, relax and not have to, like, make the decision. I just want to, like, eat somewhere. And I told you, like, let's just get Mexican because it's not going to be busy. And then you like, drive downtown Austin.
I found
like,
a Mexican
all
place.
Crazy.
You'll watch the travel vlog, but the Mexican place that she found...
No, I didn't even put the Mexican place in the vlog because it was terrible.
Oh, well, there was a Mexican restaurant that she saw on the side of the highway as we were going to our first breakfast spot that I was supposed to remember the name of the Mexican place, remember where it was, and get there.
I said, let's just go there. And you say, no, we're going to drive to this other spot.
We were going
first.
to the breakfast place.
Yeah,
first.
I said, we'll just go here.
But I didn't see the name
But
of
listen,
it.
if I said on Mother's Day, let's just go here, wouldn't you say, okay, we'll go there?
You said it offhandedly, and
No, I didn't.
we didn't know the name of the place.
Okay, this is a ridiculous conversation. It's over. We've already lived through it, and it was terrible.
Happy Mother's Day. Mwah. We love you guys. Thank you for watching Molly's Mind. She's a mother. She's a mother. I have a mother. I have a grandmother.
Isn't it? It's crazy to think about that. Everybody has, whether they like them or not, or have a relationship with them or not, everybody has a mother.
Everybody
was
from a mother.
birthed from a woman.
Unless someone was birthed from like an elephant or something like that.
No, that's not even possible.
No,
so.
that's why this episode is good, because everybody's got a mother, good or bad. You have a mother. Happy Mother's Day, or not Happy Mother's Day. But thanks for watching. Molly's Mind is back. Peace out.